not
The pipe
specifically
comes
showing
right in
that.
front of the garage there.
Uh-huh.
What's going on with the pipe?
Let's see which.
Look here. It's actually only shown on the survey.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, the one from the existing leaders, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one comes down.
Is it gonna remain?
Yes. It's on the side of the house. I think it's right here. The addition is set in from the house there, so that should remain untouched.
No, the other side. The garage entrance.
Oh, over here.
Yeah.
Yes, this
There's a
is
pipe
to
shown
be.
on the survey. It's just not shown on the proposed plans.
Oh, okay.
So
Is
it's either
this
gonna be removed or it should be shown.
okay? I think this one. You're not talking about this one right here, right?
The one
On
that
the corner?
crosses, it actually crosses. It's on the survey, it's not.
Okay. Okay, we'll take a look and we can update it. And then there was a note about to show that the overflow will be directed directly to the existing stone swale, so we can address that. And then on that, I did have a question for Doug, I guess, which is does that mean extending the stone swale or just indicating with arrows the direction of where the grading will direct the water?
Well, either just show the grading or bring this swale.
Or extend, either way? Okay,
Or the pipe to the swell.
great. And the last one was regarding a possible inspection required and special approvals required from the Westchester County Health, given the amount of square footage that we're adding. Our understanding has been that it's always if you're adding a bedroom that it triggers it, but Doug has confirmed that there might be a square footage cutoff as well. So we've reached out as well to the department, and we'll continue to pursue that to make sure we're good.
All right. Any comments from any of the board members?
Wasn't there an issue with where the septic tank was?
Yep,
Ed, did you get that to your satisfaction?
We're all set with that.
Oh, okay.
we moved the stormwater system further away from it. So.
Wasn't there an issue with the roof? Was there an issue with the roof height that we were talking about?
Oh, there's a height variance for sure. Yep,
I think that's one of the comments that Doug has in here too.
the very first one, yeah.
So any comments from anyone in the audience on the matter? No, then I think, right, Doug, you're okay, and Ed, you're okay with this?
Yeah, subject to-
As long as subject.
Subject to the,
Like,
great.
Mary Ann, so if you have a resolution?
yeah.
That's all.
Whereas in August 2018, Brooke Bridges and Andre Frank applied for site development plan approval to construct additions to the rear of their house, a new covered front porch, a stone retaining wall, and a paved parking area along the driveway on their property at 3 Shady Lane, and the applicants removed the paved parking area from their proposal. The proposed improvements would require variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals for side yard setback and height. Han reviewed the plans in a memoranda dated July 31st, September 5th, and November 6th, listed a number of issues with the site plan, most of which were satisfactorily addressed in subsequent submissions. Nolan Landscape Architects reviewed the plans and submitted reports with a number of issues, which were all resolved to her satisfaction in subsequent submissions. Planning Board held a public hearing on August 1st, September 5th, November 7th, and December 5th to type 2 action under SECRA. Now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Board grants site development plan approval of the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Modifications to 3 Shady Lane, subject to 1, obtaining variances from the ZBA for height and the side yard setback, and compliance with the items listed in the Han memorandum dated December 4th, which includes the Health Department comment.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Great,
Okay,
thank you.
approved. Just take those 2 copies, give one to Mary Ann. Yep. Next item is 2018-18, Andrew Cortez, 40 Riverview Road.
Good evening. My name is Arbeda from Hudson Engineering. Per the last meeting, obviously we still have comments to address. We were more focused on getting the layout and making sure we had your approval before pursuing the project any further. We got rid of all the revetment boulders, redid most of the grading in the back to limit the steep slopes as much as possible, to maintain a 10 feet separation between the units for the driveway, or the additional impervious area, if you will, and the pool. We can't shift it any further back, and this is the retaining wall that we need to make the grades work. The retaining wall starts out as about a foot here, reaches 6 feet along this side. Same thing goes back up to about 6 inches to a foot in this corner. Pool, same scenario where it's about, give or take, 2 foot grade change down to about 5 feet here, 3 foot grade change in this area down to about 5 feet here as well. Our main idea now is just to get your feedback to see if this is more amenable to approve versus any other ideas you guys may have or comments you may have.
What's the distance between
Yep.
the pool wall and the retaining wall?
I think I have about 5 feet there.
And the overall height, if I can add 5 and 6 together, is 11 feet.
In this area, you have, give or take, 447, 5 and 5, yeah. But we've set it back as much as we can, and the idea is to put trees along here to kind of limit the view of the walls of the pool.
Then you're gonna have leaves in your pool.
Well, it's going to be more like something like evergreens, I would think, along the sides, not something that would go over the height of the pool, because a tree can only grow so much anyways in that limited area.
Any other comments?
Well, George just got here, we gotta bring him up to date. The retaining wall is about 6 foot, and the retaining wall of the pool is about 5 feet, for a total height of 11 feet, with about 4 or 5 feet separating the two walls.
Yeah, there's no site section.
Again, we'll work on updating that, but the main idea was, I know you guys weren't big on the pool. Does,
More big on the wall.
Yeah, we kind of explained it to you, I think twice, actually. So I was actually very surprised to see that there was a pool with the same concerns we had before, in really not in a tremendously different way than was originally proposed. I mean, by moving it over, okay, so there's a, I'll call it minimal change, but this is still a massive act. And I think you were told by this board that really didn't have that much interest in this at all. So I don't understand what you did. So I guess you didn't understand what was said.
I understand your concern, but again, we've limited to, so at most of that, if you will, 11-foot height is more visible from this side. Along this side, it's not even, it's 442 to 447 over here, 5 feet, and then 447, 451, that's another 4, closer to 9, and it goes further down, meaning the wall is really only visible towards the corner areas and from the bottom of the site.
Right, and correct me if I'm not wrong, but one has to put a railing on that as well.
Correct.
Okay, so we're talking about something even. So I guess, at least it's my opinion, as I said, I think the first time, and I said the second time, there's no way I'm going to support something like this.
Okay.
So I was as direct as I could be on both times. And so I find it kind of strange that that didn't carry through and you presenting this. So I'll say it again. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to support this.
Is that opinion, I guess, true for,
Well, I think I received a draft of the minutes from the last meeting, because I wanted to make sure what was said at the last meeting. And in reading through the minutes, Mr. Boyle, Ms. Chanel, and I all said directly that we didn't want the pool there, that we had a problem with that pool.
a scenario, sorry, where if we were to remove the pool and we were to shift the walls slightly back to still give them some sort of level yard?
Well, I think my take on it is you need to do something on a portion of the backyard for the detention system, correct? I mean, you have to do something for that. But that is a requirement. But the pool is an amenity. And again, I appreciate what you did try to do here. You reduced the amount of disturbance to slopes greater than 15% from 33% to 25%. But I still think it's problematic for me in terms of there's just too much disturbance. I mean, again, you have to do something for that detention system, but you don't have to do something for the pool. And as I said the last time, the house to the west of you and 2 houses to the east, none of which have disturbed the backyards to this extent at all. And this house, the original house that's there, has a second floor deck on it. they didn't do a thing to the backyard. And understand why. You had slopes of 40 to 50% back there. And you have rock outcrops back there.
Again, the main thing was we're limited as far as coverage, so we can't really add any more, if you will, retaining walls or grading to shift things around.
Well, I understand, but again, the pool is an amenity. It's not a requirement. You know, and I think you didn't have to go in there and redo this entire house either. You could have just bought the house, fixed it up. If you want to move in, or if you want to flip it, fix it up as is, within its footprint now. But you want to go ahead and do something that's extravagant. And again, I think things have changed in this village. I think it's reflected in the zoning ordinance, the requirement of this board to take a serious look at development on steep slopes. And I think we're doing that here. And I think we want to limit the development on the steep slopes. And as I said, George, Hillary, and I all said directly the last time that we didn't want to see the pool there. And Caesar had issues, I know specifically with the amount of fill that was going to be imported into the site, the height of the wall, the structural soundness of the pool and the wall there. And also, I have issue too, is what has to be done to be able to get to the backyard to do what you want to do with equipment that can do it. You know, you were taking down a number of trees, and again, I understand that you didn't go through all that issue at this point because you want to get the feedback from us on the pool and the backyard work, and I think you're getting it from us. I don't think we want to see that.
And in a scenario where, again, if we were to remove the pool and then, say, expand the wall and then grade up from that point to give them some sort of yard for recreation.
You know, I don't want to commit to that. I don't want to commit to any of that because I have to see what you're talking about doing. So I'm not going to say anything. As I said, we want to limit the development back there. You have a deck off the back house. Why don't you put another deck off the second floor again if they want something off the backyard? Let the people who move in there overlook the ravine, which is the natural feature in the backyard, rather than trying to terrace it and make it, you know, a grassed area.
You're just trying to alter what's there to work for the needs of something else that belongs somewhere else. So what you should do is figure out what you have now and how you can expand that in the most sensitive, meaningful way. And so this is not, in my opinion, no, okay? No, not just the pool. It's the wall, too. It's what you're doing to that land back there that is so, frankly, offensive. So I don't want to play games in terms of so you don't understand what we're saying, or I'm saying. I'm going to be very direct that, in my opinion, you need to be much more sensitive to whatever you do in the rear yard. And nothing you've shown so far even comes close to that. So is that understood? I mean, so we don't have to go through this again? I hate to be so curt, but you've been here 3 times with the same thing.
Once again, I'm Andrew Cortese, the owner, and I live at 87 Harriman Road in Irvington. I've been there probably 14 years. I purchased the property to move in there with my family. I have 3 kids, and we were looking for some outside recreation use. So, you know, with the understanding that we obviously can't create a big backyard, we try to put the pool in for recreation use for our kids. I understand your concerns that, you know, it's a big impact to put the pool in that area, but in lieu of putting the pool, we would like to try to maybe put more yard area so you can throw a ball. I understand the deck, the neighbors have a deck, but you can't really throw a ball around the deck. So we're trying to grade it in and try to get some grass area into that location.
I understand that, but again, yeah, I don't know how many times I have to say it. This yard, the backyard of your house is a 40 to 50% slope, right? The house is where it should be on that site.
Yes.
And they didn't do anything in the backyard because they respected it and they understood that it's major disturbance to a steep sloped area. And again, the zoning ordinance specifically charges this board with looking at the issue of the amount of disturbance in areas of 15% or greater. And we're looking at it. And again, I'll say it again, you have to put that detention system in, and you don't have to put a pool in. You don't have to put a grassed area in there. And you have 3 kids. Maybe this wasn't the right house to purchase if you want to have a family with a lot of young kids there, because it just doesn't lend itself to that. Hillary, do you have any comments? I'm sorry, I didn't, an opportunity.
No, I mean, I know the backyard and I know how it slopes and I think that you can create what you want. You're just not gonna be able to get as much as you want.
Mhm.
So you have to just look at it a little differently. And I know that there's front yardage too and there's side yardage. And it's the back that's an issue, but it's a back that's an issue along all the properties there in that.
I think you've hit a house. These 3-4 houses in a row are at the steepest slope of that ravine.
Mhm.
The others, when I went out there and looked down, look to the west, going down Riverview Road, you can see that it levels off a bit as you go farther to the west. But these 4 houses, the one immediately to your west and the 2 to your east, you're at the steepest slope of that ravine.
I'm saying, I mean, would it be helpful to do a cut and fill analysis to see how much fill would be in there, or a site visit to?
Well, I think
Or not really?
you're getting the opinion from Mr. Boyle here that he's going to say no if you come in with a wall.
Okay.
It's 11 feet.
That's, yeah.
I've been out there. I've been out there.
Yeah.
We went specifically out there because the first time you showed it, your landscape designer was telling us of how minimal approach this was, okay, with very little detail. And went out there, and I even explained it. It was kind of wet out and rained the day before. I almost fell down that ravine, okay? So that's the site you have,
No, I
okay?
understand.
And then we have, as a mandate, to do certain things so that we can kind of protect the village. So this is not personally about you. This is just about this site and what someone is trying to propose or interject on that site that doesn't have the right kind of conversation as the will of the village wants. So that has to kind of come to play, and I think your design team needs to understand that and come back with something that reflects that, not what you've done to date, because it's getting to the point of, you know,
You have to understand that this is not one person on the board
I understand.
tilting at windmills. It's pretty much unanimous
But, you know-
that this is out of the question.
I understand. But, that being said, I mean, it's a review road. Obviously, everything on the whole road is sloped, and everything that was built on there has been in the slope, and pretty much everybody on that street, with the exception of these 3 houses, because nobody's, haven't turned over in a certain amount of years, have a flat area or an area where they can have a recreation area. That's all I was looking for. And if that's, too much to ask for, then, I understand. Maybe the best use is the way it is right now, and we'll have to just, think about that and see how we move forward then.
I think you should. That's what I think your approach should be.
Okay, I appreciate your time.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Before we proceed, Mr. Burns, the planning board received a draft of the 2019 schedule. Did you see it, George? Waiting for you to get here, because it's showing that the meeting for January is going to be January 9th instead of the 2nd. And right now, as it stands, both Caesar and Sheila will not be here on January 9th. And I just want to make sure, if we're going to do it on the 9th, that you and Hillary and I can all make it, so we have a quorum. Is that
I will say that,
at this point? you
at
can
this
make it?
point in time, legal advice, what should I say?
As of this
I
moment?
believe at this time I'm best of my knowledge,
All right, so then we'll leave it as of the 9th.
Okay, I just, an FYI, because it's gonna matter for the next 2 applications. The deadline for the ZBA in January for the 22nd meeting is the 7th. So you may want to deny something earlier today, although you'll have another chance to look at it before they go to the ZBA.
Okay.
In May.
And how did they get off with not having
I didn't say they,
summer?
first of all,
In the summer.
first of all, let's be perfectly clear, I never said they didn't have a December meeting.
Okay, but in the summer, they get like a month off. How does that?
I never said that, got a month off in the summer either.
Okay.
No comment about that. But I think as a public board, we should make it a point to have a meeting, if at all possible, and not to put off, because the public expects us to move as expeditiously as possible on these items. And, to take a month off here and there, can throw, a serious time constraint to people who are trying to get things done. So, I don't want.
month is money.
Yes. Right. Right. So, with that, next item up is 2018-19, 18 Meadowbrook Road, Jacob Dabrowski.
Evening, Matthew Burns, I'm the architect and representing the application. We were here last week. Again, this is basically an existing 1.5-story residence, and we're going to add a 1-story addition to the back and also raise the roof to create more floor space on the second floor.
And that's in the front, correct?
It's this section here, right here, is currently, it faces the front, yes.
But it's also be visible from the rear, too. I mean,
Correct.
you're expanding out towards the back of the house, too.
Yep, in other words, this piece right here, this centerpiece, that's going to be, it's 1.5 stories now. The rest of the additions are 1-story additions. This piece here is going to be raised up to 2 stories. We addressed some of the comments from Han Engineering from last month. We received new comments yesterday, so we're addressing those also. We do need a variance, both for the front yard, and I believe also, no, I think it's just the front yard, right?
So the air conditioning,
For the air conditioning pad, right, correct. And the lot coverage also.
and then also, please take a look at the comments submitted by Suzanne Dolan with regard to the access and protection.
I saw that,
of the
yep,
existing trees.
that large tree in the back. And I believe, because the encroachment into the root zone, we'll probably have to move the retention system over.
And then also the other thing too now was the access, for the construction access, because you have a tree in the front yard on the
Yeah,
south
it's
side.
it's going to be a little
It's gonna
tight.
be in the way, right.
The good news is, most of the excavation is minimal, so I think they could probably do it with a small machine, so, but I will show how we're going to get it back.
Okay. Any comments from the board members?
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't here when you were here last month. But when you raise the roof in the front,
Yes.
From the road, it's going like a flat wall with a flat roof.
It has a flat roof, yes.
And does anybody else have, just the way it would look from the, I don't know, just looks like a wall. Yeah, you have the street
Yeah,
view.
I do.
The elevation?
Sorry.
No, it's just a comment, not a real objection, just.
So this is the front elevation.
Your little bell tower sort of.
Correct. And this is just a wall that goes up.
Matt, use the microphone, please.
Does that wall that goes up, is that? No, it does extend out from the rest of the building.
It's only for a third-out wall, so it only comes out 6 inches and it kind of wraps
But it's
around
a
the
break in
side.
the wall, okay.
Correct. It's really just to break up all the horizontal elements.
Any other comments? No? Then I think you can go to the ZBA on this one,
Okay.
and then we'll see you in January.
Okay, so go to the ZBA and then come back.
No, come back, go to submit to the ZBA on the 7th.
Okay,
We have a meeting on the 9th,
got it.
and then go to the ZBA, the meeting is on the 27th.
Understood. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna stay right where you are there, Harry. Next item is 2018-20, Jessica Reese, 56 Sycamore Lane.
Again, Matthew Bowles, architect representing the Reese residents. This application is for a new deck to the rear of the existing residence. Thought it was going to be a nice, easy application because it is basically going over an existing concrete patio. However, turns out the patio is not documented, so there's a little bit more work involved here. Again, the idea is not to increase any of the impervious surfaces by fitting the deck over the existing concrete patio, but now we have to readjust the coverage calculations because that will have to be part of the application too.
Any comments from any board members on this item? No?
I'll run a similar play.
And does,
Yeah, we'll
okay with it? So I guess
we'll get the coverage right before he goes.
before he goes to ZBA.
Right, otherwise they can't get on the ZBA till the end of February.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
So was there ever any objections from the neighbors before this was as it is?
No, there weren't. In fact, the neighbors, the immediate, the neighbors on each side are all in favor of it. They've met with those neighbors, with the Reeses. And the property to the south is the condominium, and it's even further back, right, it's pretty far back. And the rear line is pretty well buffered too, so.
Okay. We'll go to the ZBA and then see you at the next meeting.
Good, great, thank you.
Do we have anything to discuss?
Can we discuss something else for about 2 minutes?
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
This is awesome.
We're adjourned.